All right, welcome to an emergency episode of All Sorts of Sports. Now, emergency episode, emergency pod, we rarely do these, right?
Yep.
And I think one would think, all right, this is emergency pod news, but I think it kind of just goes down that way. The Brooklyn Nets have traded Kyrie Irving and Markieff Morris,
Yep.
To the Dallas Mavericks for Spencer Dinwiddie. Who else is part of it?
Dorian Finney-Smith, first round pick, and 2 second-rounders.
Got it. So Kyrie's on the move.
Mm-hmm.
I have my thoughts on it, but James is a Mavericks fan, and since it's the biggest news ever for them, let's. I just want to. Well, I mean, it's the biggest news you guys have had in quite some time.
Fair.
I just want to hear your take. What did you think about the situation? What do you think going forward? Just what are your thoughts on this trade? And then I'm going to see if I align with your thoughts, but then I'll let you know how I feel about it. So just stream of consciousness, whatever. How are you feeling behind this this move?
Bittersweet. I'm really happy, but also really sad. The reason I'm really sad, you'll probably would be the last thing on your mind.
Okay.
I wanted to keep Dorian Finney-Smith, Dodo. I really like Dodo, and all of us do. So that's the one that hurt. Spence, like we all like and respect Spencer. But if you have a chance to get Kyrie, like cool. Outside of that, I'm really happy that we kept Josh Green and also Jaden Hardy. People are sleeping on the impact that they can make when they actually get time. So I'm not as worried about losing Spencer just because of the fact that we have Hardy and we're getting Kyrie. But we still have more moves that we need to make. The one person that I do not want to leave right now is Christian Wood. But, I mean, it sounds like he might get traded. But I would like to pick up a defender, like a rim protector, and then also another 3-and-D guy to replace Dorian, which kind of sucks because we had Dorian. And now he's gone.
All right, so I'm hearing a lot of things about some of the pieces around it, but what do you feel about the prize? Like, you got Kyrie Irving. How are you feeling about that part of it?
I mean, offensively, we'll be great, right? Like, that's the like one of the biggest parts about it. You got to put the ball in the hoop. And the fact that you have another top, like 10 caliber player next to Luka, that because when Luka goes out the game, we're just terrible, right?
Right.
And then when Luka doesn't play, or when he sit down off the bench, he goes to the bench to take a rest, we give up leads. But to have Kyrie like that gives you something else to think about, right? Mm-hmm. You can't just blitz Luka all the time like teams have been doing, because the part that pisses me off the most is when Luka makes a play, right? Kicks the ball out to a wide open 3 and we miss it. If you look at the stats of I think it's the top 10 players that shoot open threes or the most open threes in the league, we have 2 out of the top 10, but they have the worst percentages. So they're wide open and missing it. So Reggie Bullock is a person that I can see moving. Of course, Christian Wood. We still have some draft picks now, first rounders that we can move. Other than that, Dwight Powell maybe. I don't know who would want Dwight Powell. He's a great glue guy on the team, but we can't rebound for shit. So we still have some holes to fill. But the other part of it is Kyrie has a track record of attracting superstars, is what people are saying. So I know. I heard that today. I was like, I'll think about it. But I mean, he has always played with another great player next to him. We can't deny that. I know.
What?
In Cleveland,
what
yeah, LeBron.
What the fuck is that? I don't understand that at all.
Listen, we're grasping at straws, man. We need to have something positive. Okay? Positive reinforcement here, positive thinking.
So I think that's my issue with this, is that right now Mavericks fans are doing the exact same thing that Nets fans and Celtics fans did when Kyrie comes on the team, which is, you know what? I like it. I like this guy. You know, he's a good player.
Hold on. Like, one, we're not like we have some universal truths that we agree with, right? Kyrie's a good player, right?
When he's available to play.
No. I agree with you, but what I said is true. Kyrie's a good player.
Yeah, when he shows up.
No. Don't
stop. That's bullshit. No,
listen, I'm gonna get to that later.
Bo Jackson was great.
My guy, I'm gonna get to it later. You can't.
We can't get to it later.
Oh my god!
But I think that's the point, though.
I couldn't even go past the first point.
No, you can't, because you can't. You can't, and that's the thing. That's the thing. Is it like right? You can't, because like the thing is like I've been saying all year round, right? Who is?
I have to start with a negative first for you to let me finish the part.
Finish what part?
I was saying they're universal truths when it comes to Kyrie.
Okay.
He's a great player.
When he's playing.
I know. I'm going to get to that. Just let me finish, bro. When he's playing, which is not that often. So he doesn't play that often. Agreed? Okay. You got that shit out your system? All right, cool. That's one. He doesn't play often. Two, he's a great player.
Did you just name the same thing again?
No, I said he doesn't play that often. To get your point.
You just said number
first.
2.
I said that was number 1. I switched it so you can let it go.
Okay, so what's number 2?
He's a great player.
Okay.
Cool. 3, people are talking about how him and Luka will mesh on the court, right? But I point to a person that they compare Luka's game to like a lot, offensively, not defensively, clearly. Mm-hmm. But they compare Luka to LeBron in terms of how he plays offensively. And
closest, yeah.
Right. So they want to chip together. So yeah, they could play together. Right. So Kyrie and LeBron won a championship together, and they were playing well together.
How many years ago was that?
I don't care.
You should care. That's the point.
I don't care.
This is what I'm saying. Is that you guys
only cares about like?
So here's a universal truth. Here's a universal truth.
But
Mavericks fans are doing the exact same thing that Celtics fans and Nets fans did when Kyrie first gets there, which is you guys are looking at the things that worked compared to what he is and who he has been when he's with the organization. Because there's another part to your part 1. Not only when he's available to play, but number 2 is when he wants to. Because we saw in Boston when he decided all of a sudden, yeah, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And it was like that. And they had to do everything they could to move on from him, right? So it's like, it's one of those things where I've said repeatedly, if there is one dude in the NBA that I would never get into a business relationship with, it's Kyrie Irving.
I remember that.
Here's what you guys have done. You guys have given away your best defensive player outside of what's the boy's name that gets that's hurt, and he's still not as good as Maxey. What's that?
Maxey.
Yes, and then beyond that, you have Dorian gone. Best defensive player that you guys got that he's healthy. You guys give away the draft picks. You guys give away Spencer Dinwiddie, right? Which you do all that for the idea that maybe Kyrie will be around for 2 years. But there's no guarantee with that, right? Now, one would think, all right, well, you're not going to make the trade unless you have some reassurances that Kyrie is going to at least sign for the 2 years, right? But once again, unless it's written on the dotted line, and even if it is written on the dotted line, guess what we know about Kyrie? He doesn't give a fuck what's written on the piece of paper, right? So at the end of the day, you enter in a relationship where what it is more than anything is a 4-month lease of a guy like who you're not right. You have a 4 months lease on a guy who's shown you one thing above all other things. It will eventually go wrong. Like that's what you know. Like that's the one thing that you can bank on with Kyrie is that he's not going to show up at some point. Things are going to go wrong. Like those are the 2 things you can bank on, right? Now what you can have hope towards is that, all right, maybe this is the right thing. Maybe this is the one that gets him, right? But then what do you got to rely on? You got to say, okay, the closest thing you can get to Luka is potentially LeBron down in Cleveland age, right? Totally understood. Get that. If that's the comparison you want to make, you can make that comparison. That's Kyrie Irving many, many years ago, after two other franchises in very good situations where they, like you said, have had stars, have been contenders, have done all those things, and he still checks out. Right now, he's with probably his best friend in the National Basketball Association, in Kevin Durant. And guess what he did? He still turned his back on him at the end of this thing. Like, it's nuts to me. The one dude above all other dudes, whether it be talk about wise or whether it be behind the scenes or anything else, we know the guy he gets along with more than anybody is KD. That's his boy. They always talk about that. And what did he do? Leaving him high and dry in fucking Brooklyn. Just, it's over. Like, if he doesn't have loyalty to that, what makes anyone think he will have loyalty to anything else? Like, to me, the Mavericks move right here, as much as it reeks to me of desperation, absolutely reeks of desperation, it feels to me along the same lines of when Carmelo Anthony was in Denver and Denver pulled off to go get Allen Iverson because they knew they had to put something with Melo, right? They knew that Melo was wasting away. He's unhappy. He's not winning. It's on a hamster wheel. We need to do something. So they did that, right? Also reminds me of Cleveland, back when LeBron was there the first time. When everything they're doing, we gotta make LeBron happy. We gotta do this. We gotta make him happy. We gotta make him happy. Because that's the thing is that, like, as much as Dallas has Mark Cuban, as much as Dallas has done everything they possibly can do, you remember it was like the visitor locker room is supposed to be the best in the league because Mark Cuban wants everybody to know that we do things on a certain level here in Dallas, right? And yet Dallas has not been able to sustain or build a team other than get kind of lucky that Dirk had that 2011 run, which was nuts, right? And nobody expects that to happen, right? And then you have a Luka Doncic where you're kind of hoping you relive that sort of magic. But we also know, I think the only thing that this is guaranteed is KD and Luka won't be on their respective teams in 2 years. I think that's the only thing that this pretty much shows up for me, is that you guys make the play to go get this guy. And if I'm following any historical track record, it's like, do I worry tomorrow that the sun's not going to come up? Could it potentially not come up? Yeah, but I don't worry about it because it's something I know it's like clockwork. And like clockwork, Kyrie is not going to be reliable and he's going to fuck it up. And here's the thing. At the end of the day, I'd even feel better for you guys if it was only a 4-month lease. Because if you re-sign that fucker for 4 years, you're playing with the fire of fires. Like, 4 years is just a bigger ticking bomb. It's just what Kyrie has always been. And I still even think, with all that being said, you guys didn't really have a choice. You had to go do it. And I'm actually, because you put those two guys together. If Kyrie can play less ISO ball, if Kyrie can learn how to work with Luka, if Luka can learn how to, as ball dominant as he is, and as the usage rate is like 39%, which is crazy in the league. The only person even comparing to him is Giannis, right? But we're talking about Giannis compared to Luka and the way that they play, very different, right? You have to understand, Kyrie has to revert back to the Kyrie of the Cleveland days. Maybe a glimpse of Kyrie with the James Harden days to a certain degree when they were Brooklyn because of what Harden was doing, at least early on, like play that real second fiddle type guy. But then you had the KD element, which kind of throws everything out of whack, right? So there's like, I think you guys are going to be winning some games. It's going to look amazingly. It's going to look amazing offensively. They're going to have games where, like, both those guys, like, Kyrie puts up 35, Luka might put up 45. It's going to be fucking awesome. At the end of the day, you're not going to be able to win a 7-game series and listen in the first round. Like, that's just kind of where we're at. It's like, do you look at the team overall, and I get it. I understand the move from Dallas's point, right? The West is wide open. The West is wide open. And you have to take your opportunity. You have to take your shot, right? But when I look at this, I look at a team almost like the Commanders. When the Commanders pulled the trade for Alex Smith, and everybody around Washington was kind of like, I mean, his numbers were pretty good last year, like he was an MVP candidate. But Patrick Mahomes, he's a special guy, this, that, and the other. But then when you look at it, you're like, the only reason you got Alex Smith is because you fucked up signing Kirk Cousins. They fucked up not signing Jalen Brunson terribly. Because even the idea of, like, you could have legitimately had a Brunson and a Kyrie, which would have been insane to me. This is what they're doing to try to make up for that part of it, and they have to show their superstar. We haven't given up, dude. Like, we're still trying for you. But is that enough that you think Luka says, okay, all right, guys, I get it. You guys really, you worked hard for it. I appreciate the effort. I appreciate you doing that for me. Or does Luka say, y'all brought me him? You guys brought me him. And when he's complaining 6 months from now, or in the playoffs when he's got to take a round off because something happened that he needs a break, which is more often than likely what happens with Kyrie, just feels as though it's one of those things where it's like you guys have just kind of put yourselves in the position to having to do something to light a spark. And you got to really hopeful that this is the spark that works, because it's a risky play. It's a really risky play.
You done?
Yeah.
All right.
For now.
You just preach to the choir. We know all this shit. Like, what the fuck are you saying? It's
yeah,
like,
but I have to listen to you talk about the first.
Bro. I just listened to you for a minute and a half. Tell me shit that I know.
Well, but it's not stuff that you were copying to.
Hold on, fam. We understand all the shit that goes on with Kyrie. We're not stupid. The world only talks about that part. Like the part where we'll say like, oh yeah, he's box office. He can dribble, all this other shit. Like that's how it starts. But then the rest of every discussion is all the shit that can go wrong. Fair or not fair?
No, the first part of the conversation being the box office stuff or whatever.
Yeah,
my part is that no, but that's my thing is that conversation itself is the only people having any part of that conversation are Mavericks fans now, Celtics fans when he first got traded, and Nets fans when he first got there. That's my point. Is that those guys are the only
wanted them?
Huh?
Anybody that wanted them, anybody that wants Kyrie on their team at any point in time will discuss the good parts of his game, right?
He's a hell of a player when he's playing.
Exactly. We get that. We all get the good and the bad when it comes to Kyrie, right? He's great when he's playing, but most likely when you need him, he's not going to be there. Okay. We get it. If we're happy,
so stay there. So that's what I'm saying. Stay there. Stay there. What do you feel about that?
What other superstars Luka had when we needed him the most?
But what I'm saying, I get it. But what I'm saying,
where is he gone?
What?
He's taken. Look at the team that he took to the Western Conference Finals. Look at the team that he took the Clippers when they were like just getting together and like Paul George and Kawhi weren't ravaged with injuries at that time. Look at the player who's done all that shit with the team that he had, right? He's done so much with so little. Do we agree there or we disagree? I don't think you knew who Dorian Finney-Smith was like at the start of the year. Like a lot of people haven't.
No, I mean, it's just if we had to name defensive guys as far as where you guys' ranking was, especially going into playoffs as of last year, because it was a drop-off. You guys had
were really good last year.
You guys were great defensively until the playoffs happened. Because like when you guys had the rankings as far as where you guys were defensively until the playoffs, you were 7th ranked. And then if you look into the playoff numbers, your playoff stats defensively were equal to 25th in the league when it comes to when the playoffs themselves started. And that was a lot to do with injury. That had a lot to do with usage. That had a lot to do with all that stuff.
And the teams we play.
I get it, but we're just ranking what happens with it when the ranking, right? So like the idea would be, okay, there was a certain element of what you guys could have been compared to where it is you guys are. And then I look at like, all right, where's the opportunities or the moves or the actual legitimate room for improvement, right? I look at what you guys are doing as an organization that have worked, or at least working in the right direction, because things don't happen overnight. Like in the NBA right now, you either got to attract enough superstars that you know you're going to have the thing, right? Or you have to have enough homegrown talent that you build, you have pieces, and then you can potentially bring 1 or 2 guys there, right? The idea that what you have to do is kind of satiate your superstar is short-lived if you don't know what you're doing as far as building the roster out, right? So like everybody knew, even you were the one that was saying when they were talking about the Jalen Brunson thing, you talked about bringing him back. Everybody talked about bringing him back.
Yeah, and I told you the timeline of it, right?
Right.
The Mavs fucked up because they could have offered him what was it? 4 years, 80 million or something like that.
No, it wasn't even that. It was like 60. It was like 55, 60 mil.
Yeah, whatever million it was, they had a chance to offer it to him before the season started. They didn't do it. Then the Knicks hired his dad. When that happened, we knew he was gone.
Right.
The whole world knew he was gone.
Right.
The Knicks got in trouble for tampering. So when people say like, "Oh yeah, we got rid of Brunson," no, we didn't. The Knicks signed him because they signed his
bullshit.
dad.
No, because if you
had the opportunity to do it,
that's the point. If you didn't fight, right. That's the whole point.
But it's misleading to say
it's not misleading.
It is.
Did you have the opportunity to sign him?
Mm-hmm.
Did you choose not to?
At the time, yes.
And that's the whole.
Did we offer him anything?
You're too late now. So, like, the point is that it's the same. It's what I just said with the Washington Commanders when it came to Kirk Cousins. It's like I just told you, like, when it came to Kirk Cousins, right? We had the opportunity for how many years to give him a contract that was beneficial to both situations, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and everybody here in Washington wanted to do this whole, well, do we want to commit long term with Kirk? Do you want to do that to it? And what do? You franchise this 3 fucking years in a row where you're paying him more than you would have as far as the average, right? Mm-hmm. And then we're all sitting around here. Then when Kirk says, hey guys, I know you're offering me a contract now to a certain degree, but I go make more money over this way. I don't really owe you guys anything. So I'm going to go do that. And he fucking made bank in Minnesota, right? So what did Washington do?
He made more in Minnesota than he could in Washington.
Yes, because at that point, when it came to free agency, he was able to play everything off everything, right?
He would have made more with us than he did with New York.
That to me is even a step even worse in that direction, right? So like that.
He chose to leave after we didn't offer him a few months before.
Right.
You guys did it for years.
That's the point, is that the bottom line between both teams, there are a lot of things that's different. It's a totally different sport. But the idea would be you had an opportunity to take care of it. Mm-hmm. Your front office failed to take care of it. That's on the front office. Period.
Agreed.
Period. So like that could be half a time. I don't give a shit. If you had the opportunity and you didn't do it, that's on you. Like that's
true.
We're not.
Don't compare us to y'all with Kirk Cousins when you did it for years upon years.
I can still compare it and say that one was worse than the other. I can still say Kirk's was worse than ours. That's fine. I'm still comparing them because at the end of the day, I'm looking at a situation where it could have saved. It was the right decision to re-sign X player. Mm-hmm. You chose not to do so. And when you chose not to do so, you're now dealing in a territory where you're trying to make up for the bad decisions that you made, right? So when you're trying to make up for the bad decisions that you made, sometimes what happens is you make certain decisions that you wouldn't have if you made the right decision in the first place. So when you're doing that, you're behind the 8 ball. And when you're behind the 8 ball when it comes to a superstar and a team that needs to see X from these people, and you're not seeing X from these people, you get even more desperate to make something happen. Look, I'll be the first. I wanted Washington so fucking badly to be in the Kyrie Irving sweepstakes. I'm irate that I'm hearing that we weren't a part of it.
Why?
To get rid of Bradley Beal's contract. That's it. Like we could have told Kyrie, hey, vaccine, no vaccine, Amazon movie, no Amazon movie. We don't give a fuck. Stay home for all we give a shit. We just want you here for the 4 months that we can have you, and then you do whatever the fuck it is you want to do. We just want to get rid of Bradley Beal's contract. That was me. I thought it was an easy way to offload shit and go get Kyrie. But see, that's what I thought. And
what would you do after that?
Have a clean slate to suck at least enough to try to do a full rebuild instead of this just below mediocre bullshit that we've been doing.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do with Kuzma and Porzingis?
Kuzma's gone anyway.
Okay, then what about Porzingis?
Don't give a shit. His contract, if that's the worst contract that I got to deal with on my team, I'm sitting pretty.
Okay.
Let's be in the lottery. Like, I don't want to be just below mediocre and being a play-in team every fucking year.
I'll say this. I agree with you. Mark Cuban actually said that himself. He's like, the worst place to be in the NBA is in the middle.
Right.
You either be really bad or really good.
Washington's been there for 20 years now.
You've been bad for 20 years. Or like in the middle.
What I said, but just below mediocre. Yeah. Like when you're playing for the play-in, when you're playing really hard to get in the play-in, right? Mm-hmm. And then you know that even if you do, you're getting bounced in the first round. That's who we are. And we play hard to get there. And it's like, you know, if we just said we're not going to do that for a few seasons, it helps. Like here's the other thing that I didn't even eat with the Wizards, right? You know what we do with draft picks? Might as well light them on fire because we don't know how to develop anyone. Johnny Davis is struggling in the G League right now. I think the night before last he was 1 for 9. Like,
where'd y'all draft him at?
oh fucking, was it top 15?
Oh, it's a lottery pick.
I think so. I think that was it. So like, because out of Wisconsin, like, so I'm looking at what, and I'm like, you guys, you even if you had the lot, even if you had the draft picks, you probably fuck it up, right? So it's like, I look at Washington, I'm like, I look at that, I look at the mediocrity, I look at, we have a superstar, we have a star, not really a superstar, and Bradley Beal, who's clearly not the number one on any sort of team, right? And he's comfortable.
Fucked him up though.
But he's comfortable, which is the worst thing to be. And the thing is, when he's comfortable, it allows the mediocre and get paid $200 million to just sit. And I hate that shit. But what I'm looking at looking at Dallas right now is that this feels very similar to what I said, certain situations I've seen before. When you had Cleveland that did not know how to build a team, right? They had no concept of how to build a team. And they were trying everything they could do to satiate Bron, right? So what'd they do? Let's go get Antoine Jameson. Yeah, that worked out. Let's go get Shaq. Remember Shaq in Cleveland? It was like, let's go get guys, right?
Hold on, fam. Look, I get what you're saying. And it's like the first opportunity that we actually got somebody to put a song alongside Luka was Kyrie. Before that, nobody else really wanted to go there. That's the big problem that we have with Mark Cuban.
Yeah, 100%. But it's crazy that the first guy that you get in a relationship with is him.
I understand it.
It's nuts.
Cool. But look, at the end of the day, we just got to see how the shit going to play out.
No shit, of course. But that's no fun. We're doing a podcast.
I know, but it's like we can say the good and the bad. We can say the good and the bad.
No.
That's the first time that we've had an actual superstar on the team, like beside Luka.
That's totally fair.
And it's a fucking problem. You know who the last
good problem, bad problem.
Free agent?
Good problem, bad problem.
It's a bad problem. It's a bad problem that it's the first time in a long that we've actually had another superstar beside Luka.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question. Do you remember the last big free agent we signed?
Jesus Christ, no.
Chandler fucking Parsons.
Great.
Exactly. And you know why he signed with us? Because he was cool with Mark Cuban.
Texas?
He was in Houston.
Oh, never mind. It doesn't work out. It's the same thing.
So I've been a Mavs fan for a long time.
Yep.
And we have not signed anybody. And there's so many people that's from Dallas. Like, I thought we were going to get Miles Turner.
I know. Like, you come on ASOS all the time with your wish list, your dream list, your shopping list for Dallas.
Yeah. And guess what? We still got 4 days. Guess what? The first time we actually get a superstar to come to Dallas, and actually looks happy when he gets off the plane, is when we get Nico, our GM that used to work at Nike, who had a relationship with Kyrie. And then I'm like, all right, Nico, you got 4 days. I need a fucking defensive anchor, please. I need a Jared Vanderbilt, a Clint Capella, something to
how do y'all get that
patrol the paint? Well, you got to look at
so many assets are gone.
No, we still got stuff. Here's why. I think we have 1 or 2 big contracts that are expiring, and if you have a player that's coming up or has a couple years on it that is good, but they don't want to be under that contract, it could be considered a bad contract. We could just flip him. We have Bertans, who has I think his contract's expiring. It's a big number now, but it's expiring, I think. Then we also have Reggie Bullock, who I know the Knicks really love. He's our other
so
defender.
Who are you flipping for? What defensive presence do the Knicks have that they'd be willing to give to you for a combination of Davis, Bertans,
Mitchell?
What?
Mitchell Robinson. He's a good shot blocker.
I got scared that you were thinking about something. No, go ahead.
Who you
no, it's okay.
You thought I was saying Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah, so huh?
Come on, bro.
Sorry, what? Nigga, what?
Nah, Mitchell Robinson, he's a good shot blocker. Flip Reggie, give me him. Add another, go back to Brooklyn. Give me Seth Curry. like a shooter, and I'm happy.
Yeah, I look at that and I'm like, where's your depth? You do that.
Well, you remember who we have on the bench, right? Jaden Hardy, Josh Green.
Yeah.
Like, those people are being really underrated by people right now when they discuss the construction of the roster.
I guess so.
Yeah. And people will see for the rest of the season that when we talk about Jaden Hardy and Josh Green, they're not bad. They're really good.
The only contracts you guys have coming off the books after this year, and it's 2023 to 2024 as far as deadlines go, is Bullet. Bertans isn't until 2024,
like 2 years?
going in 2025. Yep.
So 2 years. Okay.
So Bullet.
We got rid of Spencer, so that's
your first round pick this year is in New York because of the Kristaps.
Yep, and then we have the next one. We have the next like 4 or something, 4 or 5 after that.
So you trade all of those things to get a guy to be a compliment on a team. That how confident are you that Kyrie resigns?
I don't know.
Just let's play the game. Scale of 1 to 10. How confident you are that Kyrie Irving resigns?
I don't know. Like, in what world do you think anybody in the world knows what Kyrie's gonna? Nobody knows. I don't know. If I say
we do know where Kyrie wanted to go first. We know where his first right, mm-hmm. And he can still do that after this season.
He could.
So knowing that, taking that into consideration, knowing that we're not reading the articles about Joe Tsai made a point that there was one place that he wasn't fucking going, right? Yeah. Was the one place he didn't want to go. Now you have Kyrie Irving who is he's under no obligation to do anything for anyone other than himself after this year. Does it not seem as though knowing Kyrie and everything he does and knowing who he looks out for more than anyone, that he would relish in the opportunity and the freedom to choose on his own wherever he would go?
I think he would.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, so
I think he would choose.
Right. But what I'm saying is the decisions right now, right, to mortgage more of the future for a 4-month lease and a guy who will more often than not be back next year is the only thing I look at, and that scares me.
I got a question
for you guys.
So I remember we had this type of discussion before where we were talking about like, oh, if I have a chance to win it, if I win a championship now, like I don't give a shit what happens the next however many years.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So if we put all our eggs in a basket right now, the West is as wide open as it's going to be, especially with Steph being hurt for another month. The Memphis Grizzlies with their problems, like John Morant wants to be a garage gangster. Like that's crazy. Like I don't know what's going to happen with Memphis.
Right.
Like Denver's not like 100% there yet. Like they're still all coming back from injury.
Yeah.
Like Jamal Murray's not like the bubble Jamal Murray yet.
Yeah, of course.
He's going to get there, like, of course, but he's not there yet.
The Warriors don't look great.
Jr.,
they're still getting healthy. Steph Curry's out. Like, there's a lot of
that. The West is wide open. Like, shit. How do you feel like the Suns are going to react to knowing that they put in Chris Paul in that trade package? You get what I'm saying? So, I don't know. And there's still 4 days left. So, like, this team could still look different.
Let me ask you that. I'm just going to say this.
Okay.
Everything you said, totally true. You go and you run for it, right? My entire thing is that you have leveraged all of that. You are hitching your hat. You're hitching your wagon to Kyrie motherfucking Irving, which is an unnerving thing.
Months.
Period. Even 2 weeks. The idea that you are hitching anything on being able to rely on Kyrie Irving is terrifying.
It's a risk, but guess what? I'm not spending the money to do it. So I'm here just to watch it. I hope that it works out. But guess what? If it don't, it just is what it is.
That's the thing. If it doesn't work out, that's bye-bye Luka. Bye-bye Luka. Good luck elsewhere, Luka. Maybe he'll come. Maybe he will follow in LeBron's footsteps and come back. After he goes win a couple championships.
Or he'll follow in Dirk's footsteps.
I don't. Hey, Dirk never looked this unhappy. Dirk always had that. Dirk was always, regardless of how it is you felt about Dirk, right? He always had the same dumb look on his face. It was almost Eli Manning or Peyton Manning. No, Peyton Manning was even more emotional than Dirk was. Dirk always, you never really knew it. Dirk always just seemed satisfied with the situation. Luka does not strike me as a guy that's satisfied.
Tell me you didn't watch the Mavs without telling me you didn't watch the Mavs. Are you telling
I watched him anytime they were in the playoffs.
You said he was satisfied? No, he was never satisfied. He was never satisfied.
No, of course not. Not as like a.
He was satisfied with the situation.
No. I'm saying that with Dirk Nowitzki, right? Mm-hmm. He's not a guy to cause a stink. He's not a dude that when you look at him on the court or otherwise, you can see and it oozes from him. I hate this situation.
Like showing emotion.
Right.
But he does it behind the scenes for damn sure. Like he'll tell you he's not going to blow up on you in the court in front of millions of people, but behind the scenes when you're in like in practice or in the meeting room, he'll light your ass up.
But when you hear Luka legitimately talk and you can tell his idea and what his thought process is through everything he said this year is clear. I don't have the talent I need around me. Mm-hmm. And you didn't get that from Dirk. As much as you knew that Dirk behind the scenes might have been saying something, behind the scenes he might have been talking to Mark Cuban, behind it, all those things. But the idea of being comfortable enough to actually say it out loud to everyone else is a difference. That's a clear difference in the athlete, right? Mm-hmm. So when I'm looking at that with Luka is that I don't see Luka as a guy with the patience.
Oh yeah, I mean, I
don't blame him necessarily because, as you said, if you look at Dallas historically, right? You can say, do I want to have to do what Dirk did? Or should I have a team?
He's not even going to play that long.
You see what I'm saying? It's like, hold on, what? So hold on, the only way that it's going to work is if I follow in the footsteps of what the other guy had to do compared to like.
I get you.
So it's like you look at that and you're like, no, fuck that. Like the Bradley Beal, who's never going to complain about anything, right? He might behind the scenes, you might get the glimpse of an interview every once in a while with him talking to like high schoolers or something. It's about how hard you got to work. Nobody thinks that Bradley Beal doesn't work hard and practice and otherwise, right? Mm-hmm. But Bradley Beal knows, as we all do, the talent level in Washington is not of one of which you can win a championship. You're not even going to be in championship contention, right? And while you have some superstars say, fuck that, we need to be doing something to change the outcome there, right? Mm-hmm. What your Kobe's would do, what your Kevin Garnett's might do, because you remember those years that he was wasting up in Minnesota. He got to a particular point in time where he was like, fuck this, I can't do this anymore, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, or you're Bradley Beal and you're just, the team's trying everything they can. Like, what? Like, or even a Dame. Dame catches smoke from me. Even though Dame, I think, is just being hard-headed. But Dame's just being hard-headed.
He's loyal.
He's loyal and he's being hard-headed. Yeah.
He's a Raiders fan.
I still stand firm that the thing to me that I think that what this it feels so similar to Cleveland in the first LeBron run, and it feels so similar to Melo in Denver when they went and got Iverson. Because remember, Iverson still was putting up hella stats. The thing that people don't remember
himself, though.
No. The thing that people do not remember about Iverson during that era is that the drop from Iverson from being a legit player to nothing happened overnight. In Denver, when he first goes to Denver, he's still averaging. Hold on, let me pull this up. So 06-07, the motherfucker's averaging 31 points a game.
How many shots he's taking?
It's Iverson. He's taking a ton of shots. Remember, efficiency is not the same thing that it was back then. It is right now. It's like not incomparable, right? But but the point of it was you brought a ball dominant guy to come team up with another fairly ball dominant guy in what it is Melo was doing out in Denver, right? And what you're doing is you're basically saying to Melo, "Hey man, we hear you. We're trying to get guys. We finally got this one guy that we think you'll love." And then when they were together, it was sort of like
that was stupid because Melo's ISO. He's the ISO king. When he gets the ball does not move. There's a difference between Melo and Luka. And what I like about this right now is I was watching a 2-man game between KD and Kyrie. Right, Kyrie setting screen. The two defenders don't know where to go. KD passed the ball to Kyrie. Easy shot at the free throw line. KD and Kyrie can do that all day, everywhere. And guess what? If you want to get freaky with it, he can bring in Christian Wood.
You said Kyrie and KD. Are you saying Kyrie and Luka can do that?
Kyrie and Luka.
Okay.
And then you can add in Christian Wood, like if we don't trade him.
But I always thought the thing that I've always noticed as far as the Luka thing, and you watch a lot more Mavericks game than I do. Yeah. I've only been fairly watching Luka recently because of how much money I put him on night in, night out. Because I know there's nobody else, so he's gonna get his shots off. See,
that's the whole misconception right there.
What?
Luka will, of course, like he'll get his shots off or whatever, but he makes plays for everybody.
Of course, but that's the usage percentage. So like the usage, but my point is the usage percentage, right? Mm-hmm. Is it regardless of whatever it is, the offense runs through Luka. Mm-hmm. The idea is that what you try to do is find a guy that you can balance him with, right? So like the thing that Spencer does good is in those moments where Luka doesn't have to be, he can shine and do his thing when Luka's not even on court, right? And then when they come back, there's a transition sort of thing that happens, but not anywhere in which the level at which he would do with Brunson, which it was almost like a natural fit. Brunson could definitely play in those moments where Luka wasn't, right? Mm-hmm. But what Brunson could also do is switch up the way that he was doing things to complement what it is that Luka was doing. But the idea is that the offense still, which is the usage percentage, right? Usage percentage is just how many shots you take. Usage percentage is how many assists are coming from you. Mm-hmm. How many things are being facilitated off of you, right? So it's different than the ISO ball that we might be used to in the early 2000s and late 90s.
But you also got to remember that the usage rate for Luka is different from anyone else.
Giannis.
Anyone else?
I think Luka is like 2%.
I'm not saying the usage rate high or low. I'm saying it's different. It's a different type of usage rate because he doesn't play fast at all.
No.
So, like a lot of times people say the usage rate to say like, yeah, he can't sustain this. I'm like, yeah, he can.
That's me. Sustainable. I say that because I'm looking historically.
I know, but
historically, no one's able to do that.
Nobody's able to play the game slow the way he is with a high usage rate. And that's to me, there's a big difference.
But that to me speaks more to when your usage rate is that high and you have a slower pace or whatever that you're running the offense at, right? Speaks to how important it is for you as a player to have the ball, right? Yeah. To have the ball. When you have a Kyrie Irving who, once again, if you're looking at what he did, the closest thing that you're going to find to that is what he was doing in Cleveland early with Bron, right? Which is that I can facilitate and let him go and take it, right? But I think there's a transition, and with Harden to a little certain degree, but the thing that changes that entire dynamic in Brooklyn is KD. The KD dynamic between the three of them, regardless if you have somebody like Harden, changes that dynamic completely. So the thing with Kyrie is I look at Kyrie and I look at Luka, and you remember I was the one that said that I'm waiting for the narrative to come up that Luka's not a great guy to play with, right? You remember I said that like in the offseason or something like that. It hasn't happened yet.
People said that.
People are saying that, yeah. But I was like, you remember I was like, I'm going to start the rumor here because I was with the Aaron Rodgers thing. I'm going to start the rumor right now. Luka's a terrible teammate, right? You remember that?
See, like when you say that, it means something completely different from what your point is you're trying to make.
I get it. No, it was all part of the same thing, right? So like my idea. I get it, but it's like Iverson. Iverson's a top 3 favorite player of mine all the time, right? But the thing with Iverson is that regardless of how it is he was so hard-headed in the way that he would do things that he refused to change. And when he refused to change, that's why he's 34 years old when he's bounced out of the fucking league. When he should have clearly been able to stay longer if he changed his game, right? If he had listened to Larry Brown earlier, if he had, when he went to Denver, got his head out of his own fucking ass, and played differently. The same thing we criticize like Russell Westbrook for certain degrees, right? Where it's like, dude, play different. If you play different, things will happen. Was working to some degree in LA this season with him coming off the bench, and now he's right back to having the worst 3-point percentage in the league. So great. So like there's the element of when it comes down to it, I look at Luka and I say Luka, because of the lack of talent that they had in Dallas. He's had to play a certain way in order to keep you guys competitive. It's fair. Kyrie Irving comes into town with a way that he typically plays, especially looking at the way he's played Brooklyn this season, which he's having one of his best years ever, which is something that I even think the people that haven't given Kyrie enough credit for. He's been the good soldier recently. He's been a fairly good soldier. He's kept his mouth shut and just done what he needs to do. Things have been fairly quiet on the Brooklyn front until he comes out of nowhere and says, I want out of here when everybody thought it was
he was talking about a contract extension.
And they wanted to put language in the contract. He didn't appreciate the language they wanted in the contract. But him and Joe Tsai fucking hate each other's guts.
Like my guarantee is based on if we win a championship. No,
right. Fuck off. Not doing that. Let me out of here. Right.
Nobody would do that.
Right. But here's the thing: is that the thing was with Kyrie. I think everybody was kind of the idea. While it's not surprising that he wanted out, it's surprising the timing of it because of how close it was to the end of the season. That we just thought Kyrie's just going to shut the fuck up and ride it out. He's going to ride it out with his buddy KD, and then guess what? Next offseason, he has to go wherever he wants to go. Which, in one sense, you look at Brooklyn, you're like, well, you get no assets for Kyrie Irving back. It's kind of crazy, right? Like if you know that he's not coming back.
When you think about it, isn't that the only way to go? If he's a free agent after this year, you guys are having contract talks, and whatever you guys like screwed him with over at the end, he's like, nah, I don't want to do that. So you might as well just trade me so you can get something for me.
No, there is a certain degree to that, right? There is a certain element to that. But the idea, the timeline, the word breaks that he wants out. They don't wait until the trade deadline. The move gets pulled off. Trigger gets pulled on Sunday. Mm-hmm. The timing is insane. Like the amount of time it takes from the moment that they say that he's on the trade block, right? The moment they start filling the offers to the moment they pull the trigger is fast. They want him gone.
Yeah, that and the fact that it's not like people weren't asking beforehand.
No, of course. So you had some homework.
There's like a little foundation.
You had some homework done. Because once again, like Dallas was in the conversation about Kyrie back even when Brunson was there, right? So like there was an element to that.
It came out later that one of the big pieces for the trade, there was like, yeah, Dorian Finney-Smith is available to be moved for a star. And when that came out, you remember how everybody laughed, right? But then now once the move happens, it's like, oh yeah, he's a good defender. I'm like, yeah, he's been a good defender. He's been a nice piece to have on your team.
Right.
So, I mean,
but at the end of the day, it's the same thing you said, right? And this is the one thing I can't. This might work.
It could, and it might not. And if it might,
it might work, but it's the same way that like I always do this thing, and if I blindfolded you and walked you over to 495, the Beltway, for people that don't know DC, Maryland, Virginia.
Man, you're not playing Frogger with me.
Hold on. I put a blindfold on you. I put a pot of gold on the other end of the fucking highway. And I say, walk across the highway, get the pot of gold. The gold is yours, right? Mm-hmm. And you do it. You do it. You pull off the blindfold. You're swimming in fucking gold. You're a billionaire. But then you look and see all the cars that you could have hit. Did you make the right choice? Or did it work out for you?
2020.
Right. It worked out for you.
Look, it don't matter. If Kyrie was on the Wizards and y'all had other pieces around the team to go for a championship.
Hold on. Remember, Kyrie was high on my wish list. But for reasons that I accepted, he was terrible as far as what it is he was doing, right? Yeah. I wanted Kyrie so that Kyrie could come and do Kyrie things. Like, I know what I'm getting with him, and I'm cool with it. Because I look at that, I'm like, do you know what makes sense?
Other team.
Because I look at Brooklyn, I'm like, do you know what makes sense, Brooklyn? Bradley Beal with fucking Kevin Durant. That looks good to me. Do you think Bradley Beal? Hold on. Do you think Bradley Beal is an upgrade or a downgrade over what it is they got right now for Kyrie? Not including draft picks, just just the guys.
Upgrade.
100%. So that's all I'm saying.
Well, hold on.
We had Spencer, bro. We had him.
Yeah, and
we were cool letting him go. Everybody in Washington was cool with letting him go.
Well,
we were all cool with letting him go.
That was,
and there's no regret. We don't regret it. Nobody in Washington regrets getting rid of Spencer.
What was homeboy's name? Montrezl Harrell.
What about him?
That was the whole catalyst, right? Like Spencer was trying to be a leader of the locker room because
everyone didn't like it. Wasn't just Trez. It was everyone in the locker room. It was everyone in the locker room.
But it was the same thing.
No, but it was also because on the court, what he was saying didn't match what it is his play was. He hit a plateau early in Washington.
No, fam.
I'm just saying we didn't
coming off of ACL. Of course, he's going to hit a plateau the first year back. Like
what I'm saying, no, hold on. What I'm saying is he hit a plateau. No, he did not get better for us over time.
No, I'm talking about with us.
That's fine, fair. I get it. We wanted nothing to do with Spencer anymore. Remember, Spencer took DC by storm early. Mm-hmm. We were like, holy shit, this team's got some kind of attitude and everything about it. And as soon as that hit, a switch flipped in Spencer. with him thinking he's that guy. And everybody around here had to say, hold up. You're not. Chill the fuck out. And then when you start seeing him he wants to take the shot at the end of the game. It ain't going in. And you're like, Spencer, you're Spencer. Like, chill the fuck out. Like, that's where it was in DC that he hit a plateau for us. It's the same thing.
Let me tell you how y'all were wrong.
Hold on. Here's the other thing. Okay. Davis Bertans, another guy. We really, really love not having him.
Oh yeah, I understand. Like, so I think we're gonna move him too. So look,
that's fine. But
I get it with Bertans, but with Spencer, it was more so like, yeah, he was a key piece in us getting to the Western Conference Finals that same year that y'all like dispatched him.
Godspeed. I'm not saying cool. Would Bradley Beal have been a better piece? Yes.
For us,
anyone. He's a better player than Spencer Dinwiddie. Yeah.
But I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Remember, we started this one. I'm just saying, if I'm looking at Brooklyn, I'm looking at Brooklyn, I'm saying that one guy is clearly better than the other guy. And I actually think Bradley Beal is worth more than both of those guys. That's just what it is.
Yeah, it is. No,
so that's the only disappointment that I have is that I'm looking at Brooklyn like.
But then they also got to take on this contract, which is not something that they want to do either.
Brooklyn?
Would you want to take on Bradley Beal's contract?
Brooklyn would absolutely take that contract. Do you think they gave a shit about money when they paired Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and KD together?
Well, because they were playing better at the time than Bradley.
Got it, but also knowing, remember, hindsight 2020, right? If there's a guy I can rely on to show up compared to a guy I can't rely on to show up, you talk about a Harden who ate himself off of two teams. You're talking about a Kyrie who never knows what he wants to do day in and day out. And you talk about a KD who's not really a leader or anything. But you have a guy in Bradley Beal who do what? The problem we have in Washington, he shows up every day, gives 110%, but he's just satisfied whatever it is the situation is.
And he's not making shots.
Also, the way that they're running stuff through the offense now with Brad, it's weird. It is weird here. I'm not going to and Wes Unseld, I think, is not the guy for this job. It's weird.
How is because Porzingis seemed better for me when he was playing
before we get into weeds with it, right? The only thing I was saying is that I'm ashamed in Tommy Shepard and Washington for clearly not picking up the phone. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
Still move him. Send him to Miami.
He's got a no trade clause.
Oh.
And my idea was that the only guy that you'd probably, if you're Bradley Beal and saying, I might do that, is KD. I think Brad would say yes to playing with KD.
Playing with KD. I thought you meant like trading for KD.
No. I'm saying if you're Bradley Beal and you want to waive your no trade clause for somewhere, you look at Brooklyn, you're like, oh, okay, I can see that. Because guess what Bradley already has? His $200-some million contract that he just signed. He's good. He's golden. He got the extra kicker for staying.
Yep.
Cool. Now you can go anywhere. And that's where I'm looking at Washington like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? We should have been the ones on the phone with fucking Brooklyn. We only give him anything to go take this motherfucker. Right? Like, that's to me is what I'm looking at with that. That's my only disappointment.
How much does he get paid this year?
Brad?
Yeah.
I don't fucking know.
No, is it like 45, 50?
Yeah, it's something stupid.
Well, shit. LA needs another player.
We don't want anything LA has to give us. What are we going to do? Trade Russ back? The fuck? No. Like, that's not the point.
But Russ's contract's expiring, right?
But you also have Bradley Beal who's not going to say yes to going to fucking LA.
Why not?
He would never say yes to go to LA.
Why not?
Because he looks at that team overall and you're not 100% what is going to happen as far as that goes, as far as in that situation. You also know as far as
Bradley Beal to the Lakers.
Here's another thing with Bradley Beal. He doesn't love the media. He doesn't love anything along those same lines. Brooklyn, for as much as the drama has happened in Brooklyn, because they had a Kyrie Irving, right? In LA, the fact that they're LA, Brad Beal doesn't get to go chill in the cut. It doesn't work that way in LA. But we're on the Brad Beal thing. Hold on, I'm trying to pull up his number
contract
for what it is. So he's a 5-year, $251 million contract. This year, the guaranteed yearly cash is $43,279,000. Next year, it jumps to 46. Year after that, 53, then 53, then 57. All guaranteed dollars.
Yep, ship his ass to LA.
Yeah, I just don't think he accepts that. Remember, he's got to accept whether or not he's going to do that, and I just don't see that happen.
No, I don't think.
No, if
Portland.
anything, I'm trying to figure out a way that we could package everything that we have to go get Dame Lillard.
Dame's not leaving.
I know.
Like, at this point, he just has to stand in it forever. Like, he probably shouldn't even leave after he retires. Just live in Portland. Rest of his days.
Never had to pay for beer again. Look, all right, bottom line, I think we're going to wrap this up. So I'm, like I said, of the idea that while I don't think that Dallas had a whole lot of opportunities or moves because they've kind of laid their bed. They've made the bed that they're in right now.
I don't agree with that, though.
Hang on. I'm just saying my thesis, and then you can wrap it up with yours, right? Me and you are clearly not on the exact same page on this. That's fine. The bottom line for me is that Dallas right now has made the bed that they're laying in right now in the situation of what it is they did with fucking up with Brunson. And they're trying to make the best out of the situation to convince Luka to stay. Mm-hmm. They have now hitched their wagon to a 4-month lease on the most unreliable man in the history of the NBA. And that's it. Now, at the end of the day, I am extremely excited to see them play together because I think it's going to be awesome offensively if they can make it work. But I also know that even if it does work, with Kyrie Irving, it's a ticking time bomb, as is with anything. And that's it. That's all. That's all I got.
No, I agree. It's kind of like how people talk about the Cowboys. At some point, something's going to go wrong.
Cowboys got a cowboy.
Yeah. I agree with that part, but in terms of other options, I was looking at a Zach LaVine. Like, there's rumblings out in Chicago that they're going to break up that pairing. Then you also have you have a bunch of different guards that are out there that can shoot, which is something that we needed, that we could have gotten. But then I also think of like a Miles Turner, out in Indiana, but then he just signed his massive deal. But we had a chance to get him like last year or a year before. Like, they were just sitting at Mavs games or whatever in the playoffs, like recruiting themselves to us. But for some reason, we can't make a deal to save our lives besides this one. So I have no idea how it's going to work. I just hope it does, but I'm going to watch the games like I always do. And just it is what it is. Like, I can't do shit about it except for DM Mark Cuban. And when he responds, I'll just screenshot it and send it to the group.
So bottom line for us is that for the entertainment of this podcast, it looks like there might be 2 major things happening to 2 of your favorite teams this offseason. Or
Aaron
this
Rodgers.
season. Aaron Rodgers. No, there's no news. No news. But
God damn it.
No, I'm
You looked at your phone and then you said that you looked over here.
Sorry, I was looking at my mouse. It's like it's on, but it's not registering.
I hate you for that because I was like, oh, it finally happened.
No, but here's what I do know.
All right.
It ain't gonna work out for either one. All right, guys. And you deserve to be able to root for something. Too bad your organization fucking this up.
Listen, fam. At the end of the day, it's all entertainment. I just want to see something. I just want to see what happens. Like, I look at this like I look at Marvel movies. Like, I'm just gonna watch. I'm going to go to the theater and watch.
Y'all need. I don't understand how, for the life of me, Dallas can be in a tax-free spot with an owner as cool as Mark Cuban is, and you can't get people to show up. It blows my mind.
You mean
I don't understand it.
Huh? Free agents. You mean like free agents? Yeah, I get you.
People, period, don't want to come there.
They have. Well, the Mavericks.
They're not. Everybody keeps the point of it is. I'm not talking about the fans, of course, fans. Right. But I'm saying that. I'm saying that you know what I'm saying. The idea that you have players that don't want to show up to this thing that continuously is told us is this amazing situation, and it just never pans out. And I'm like, I don't understand it. I don't get it.
Last time it did, Chandler Parsons.
And that's
I've said that for years. I don't get it either. We have and there's people that's from there and they don't go. And the last time that we tried something crazy, you remember, it was DeAndre Jordan.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that's been an episode of All Sorts of Sports. Yeah,
DeAndre Jordan is the Mavericks version of Jamarcus
You're the
Russell
Wizards with a superstar.
Bradley Beal's our superstar?
Fuck no, he ain't. I told you he's a star.
But you also had John Wall, Gilbert. None of them were superstars.
Injuries. John Wall is a sad story of injuries. And
I heard
also,
the Clippers are going to trade him.
Yeah, who gives a shit? Like the how old is John Wall now? Like I don't care. Like even when he did the interview with he did that interview was making all the rounds of how honest he was being about behind the scenes and everything. Mm-hmm. Everyone listening is like, all right, cool. You didn't really tell us anything we didn't know. Bye, John. We appreciate the memories, but it wasn't gonna fucking happen. They were paying you all this money to not play because you were hurt. We couldn't do anything. And like I even get that part of it. Ryan Russillo always said something about how NBA cap money is the most overrated, stupid shit ever. Because everyone keeps talking about it and nobody ever does anything with it anyway. So it's like, it is one of those things. But I look at flexibility as meaning something. I also look at not having superstars meaning you suck and potentially you will get a superstar because you'll draft one occasionally. I just want us to suck enough to be in the middle. Which is the point. I just want us to suck enough to be in the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. That's it. And we're not.
Which is sad. Because this is the one you should... Like, shit, if y'all were at number 2, that would still be good.
Tommy Play-In Shepard is our fucking GM. He lives for the play-in.
And as Mark Cuban said, that's the worst spot to be in.
Yes.
Either be really good or really bad. In the
middle, Lord knows what the fuck is up with Cuban that's aware of it and only relies on the superstar to make him above a play-in team.
Western Conference Finals, fucker.
It's a wide open West, but look, that's cool.
That's what we did last year.
They'll say same thing I said last year. We'll mean it more this time. I don't give a fuck who coming out the West. They get smoked by some Miami East.
Oh, somebody before you said it was Philly. You still feel that? I
still feel pretty strong about Philly. But to mention, like, weren't you one of them to pick the Nets at the East?
Maybe Boston.
I know there were 2 people that picked the Nets. I think it was Keem and Ryan.
Yeah.
I
might have picked Boston.
And look, hey, there's another thing we didn't even discuss, but as we're continuing to get to Brooklyn is setting themselves up pretty nicely.
That and the fact that if they decide to move KD, there's talk about him going to Boston.
For Brown.
Yeah. Can you imagine that?
Yes.
Because KD's not that young either.
Brooklyn... I've been saying that Brooklyn needs to go. We needed to get rid of everybody and have Ben Simmons be the number 1 guy on that team. I've been saying that since the trade happened. Remember the whole
move Ben Simmons too.
Maybe and he's movable now. He's an asset. So like the idea is that like to me though, I want to see Ben Simmons when there's no pressure.
For that to happen, he would have to go to a team that's like just terrible. He can't go to a Brooklyn. Or a Boston.
Already in Brooklyn. But I'm saying a Brooklyn without KD is a Ben Simmons team.
But without KD, they're going to get Jaylen Brown back. And that's still it'll be Jaylen Brown's team.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. No, Brooklyn, for what it is they've gone through, I don't.
Shit, fuck send his ass to Indiana.
It doesn't, whatever. It doesn't matter. But Brooklyn right now, regardless, have set themselves up pretty nicely. And the other thing with KD is that they might tell KD to shut the fuck up. You're just re-signing. You got years left on your deal. So,
yeah, I mean, he's going to play because he just wants to hoop. So, but I mean, at the end of the day, you don't want Brooklyn to become OKC East.
I wouldn't mind it. Fuck them.
They've had picks for however many years and they didn't do shit with them.
They are fucking.
Now they got some stuff.
All things come full fucking circle. Spencer Dinwiddie started looking like a good talent there, and then they shipped his ass over to us, and then we shipped his ass over to you, and then you guys are shipping his ass back over to that. Like Brooklyn's ended up where they were a few years ago, which is a bunch of guys that add depth without the superstars,
without a Jared Allen or Karis LeVert, like.
Yeah,
and
different
day. It would have been amazing if they still had those pieces there.
No shit, but this is this is what happens when you tie yourself to people that aren't reliable and make terrible decisions.
Okay.
Dallas should have learned something. All right, guys. Special emergency episode of ASOS.
You got to make a move or you'll be stuck like Washington.
Unless you leverage a lot of your future for a 4-month lease, that probably ain't going to work out.
But that's better than paying $200 million for somebody who's just not going to do anything with the team except keep you in the middle. It sets you back another 20 years. You'll just be in the middle.
I think you guys are without the superstar. And
We're not
gone in 2 years anyway.
But guess what? We have a superstar.
Anyway, he'll be gone.
No, not yet. He's there now, ain't he? And guess what? If he does leave, we'll be at the bottom, not in the middle.
I don't know about that.
What?
Because if Luka, here's the thing: if Luka says that he's not going to re-sign, you guys are probably going to try to trade him, and I think you'll get a lot back for that. And I just don't think that you guys have shown the capability of actually building a team. Now, that being said, I think that even if you don't build a team, you still put some product out.
Nico is changing that a little bit compared to what I've seen before. He's been better. I'll say that, because I'll say, like, the next 4 months, you look at Jaden Hardy, Josh Green, and see how they play.
I won't.
And then, okay, fine. Don't bet on Luka, because if you bet on Luka, you're gonna watch him.
All I do is I wait until the end when he's sweating, when I'm sweating for 3 points. I watch him get the 3 points, usually with like 8 minutes to go in the fourth. And I'm like, I got what I needed.
What do you bet? 25 plus? Or
depends.
30?
Depends.
Okay.
I have my safe bets and I got my lottery picks. I got my crazy ass parlays. I got my non-crazy parlays.
Well, I mean, it just
I have my safe bets. So, like, I take majority of my bank, I play it on a couple moves, and then that's my just doubling up on this safe little stack. You know?
Are we doing the pod live on Friday?
No.
Oh, okay.
Stop saying live. It's not live.
You know what I mean? In person.
In person. No, we're not doing that until in like March after we take a break. Remember, we're going to take a break from doing the pod because Ron's going to be upset.
We got to do extra shit though. But yeah, I get you.
All right, guys. Bye.